Join me as I dive deep into the world of mythology and challenge myself to uncover the fascinating stories of Hades, the god of the underworld. Hades, the Greek god of the underworld and lord of the dead, is one of the most misunderstood and misrepresented figures in mythology. Often viewed as a villain, a monstrous figure who delights in the suffering of others. But is this really an accurate portrayal of the god who rules the underworld? Let's start by addressing some of the biggest misconceptions surrounding Hades. And one of the main reasons for this skewed perception is the way he's portrayed in popular culture. In many movies, TV shows, and even comic books, Hades is frequently depicted as a one-dimensional villain, a character obsessed with causing chaos and destruction. But as we'll soon discover, this couldn't be further from the truth. In reality, Hades is a complex and multifaceted character with a rich history and a deep sense of responsibility. He's not just a god of death. He's also a god of wealth, often referred to as Platon, due to the riches buried beneath the earth, ruling over the treasures of the underworld. Hades is more than just a fearsome deity. He's a just and fair ruler, respected, and even admired by his fellow gods. So, where does the idea of Hades being evil come from? In Greek mythology, Hades is often seen as a neutral figure, primarily concerned with maintaining the balance and order of the universe. His role in ensuring the proper functioning of life and death is one of duty and responsibility, not malice. Let's rewind and explore the origins of Hades. Born to the Titans Cronus and Rhea, he was one of the original Olympian gods, alongside his brothers Zeus and Poseidon, after the defeat of their father Cronus and the Titans in a great cosmic battle. The three brothers drew lots to determine who would rule over different parts of the cosmos. Zeus became the ruler of the sky, Poseidon the ruler of the seas, and Hades, perhaps the least fortunate, drew the underworld. But rather than seeing this as a curse, Hades accepted his fate with dignity, ruling over his domain with a stern, yet fair hand. As the ruler of the underworld, Hades commanded respect from both the living and the dead. His domain, often referred to as Hades itself, was a realm where souls of the departed went after death. Unlike the burning, torturous version of hell seen in later traditions, the Greek underworld was a much more nuanced place. Here, Hades was surrounded by a host of iconic figures and creatures that helped maintain the order of the realm. There's Cerberus, the infamous three-headed dog who guarded the gates of the underworld, ensuring no one left without permission. Then there's Charon, the boatman who ferried souls across the river Styx, and the Erinyes or Furies, avenging spirits tasked with punishing those who dared disturb the natural order. Despite his dark and ominous associations, Hades was not devoid of emotion or humanity. One of the most famous and emotionally charged myths surrounding Hades is the story of his relationship with Persephone, the daughter of Demeter, goddess of agriculture. The story begins when Hades, struck by love, abducts Persephone and brings her to the underworld to become his queen. Demeter's grief over her daughter's abduction was so intense that she refused to allow crops to grow, plunging the world into famine. The gods intervened, and a compromise was made. Persephone would spend part of the year with her mother and part with her husband, Hades. This myth, while often seen as a dark tale of abduction, can also be seen as an exploration of the balance between life and death, growth and decay. Persephone's descent to the underworld symbolizes the winter months, while her return to Earth heralds the springtime and the rebirth of life. The myth of Persephone also reveals a more tender side of Hades. His love for her was deep and genuine, and while his method of obtaining her may be viewed as troubling by modern standards in the ancient world, it was seen as part of the inevitable cycle of life and death. The compromise reached between Hades and Zeus over Persephone's time on Earth also illustrates Hades' role as a negotiator and mediator among the gods, not simply a figure of terror. So, if Hades isn't the villain many stories make him out to be, what kind of god is he? Above all, Hades is a figure of immense power and responsibility. His role as the ruler of the dead is crucial to the functioning of the natural world. He ensures that the dead stay in their realm, and he governs the vast riches of the earth, from gold and silver to more symbolic forms of wealth. His fairness and dedication to his role earned him the respect of the other gods, and while he may not have been as beloved as his brothers Zeus and Poseidon, he was certainly not feared as an evil being. In fact, Hades is often described as a god who values justice, showing mercy to those who deserve it and punishing those who do not. One final myth worth mentioning is Hades' involvement in the story of Orpheus and Eurydice. Orpheus, a mortal with a divine gift for music, descended into the underworld to plead for the return of his beloved Eurydice. So moved was Hades by Orpheus' music and devotion that he agreed to let Eurydice return to the world of the living, on one condition. Orpheus must not look back at her until they had both fully emerged from the underworld. Tragically, Orpheus failed to keep this promise, and Eurydice was lost to the underworld forever. This myth underscores Hades' sense of justice and mercy. He was willing to bend the rules for love, but once those rules were broken, he stood firm in upholding the natural order. In the end, Hades remains one of the most complex and compelling figures in Greek mythology. His role as the god of the underworld is one of great responsibility, not villainy. His relationships, his sense of duty, and his control over both death and wealth make him a multifaceted character worthy of exploration. He's not the monster many make him out to be, but rather a powerful and just ruler who maintains the delicate balance between life and death. Thanks for joining me on this journey into the world of mythology. What's your favorite myth about Hades? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want to explore more of the fascinating stories of Greek mythology, be sure to check out my next video. If you enjoyed this video, you'll definitely want to check out our other deep dives into the myth of Medusa and Poseidon. I'll add a link in the description below, so be sure to watch it by clicking the related video. And before you go, let me know in the comments. If you're a fan of Greek mythology, type A. If you're into Hindu mythology, type B. For Norse mythology, type C. And if you enjoy other mythologies, type D. I'd love to see which mythology sparks your interest the most.